Howdy, guys. And in this episode of the Delia Report, we talk to two brothers who are modern industrialists at the intersection of manufacturing, modular construction, innovation, and technology. At the ages of 25 and 22, these brothers started their company in 2021, and in just 3 years, they've grown from one machine and one line to four lines and projects over 25 states. Now, part of my excitement in this episode is that these two brothers remind me of the type of curious people who like to explore and create things. They're okay with making mistakes and they enjoy the process of discovery while still reflecting on the lessons learned. So, thank you guys for being here. I see we have Tiago, not both brothers, but hey, Tiago, thanks for being here.
Thank you so much for having me, John. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Welcome to the Delia Report. And as a fellow manufacturer, I was really inspired and impressed by seeing your story, seeing your factory in operation, and just learning more about you guys. So, to start today's interview and today's dialogue, I really want to talk about the origin story. And where that begins for me is honestly, I saw that you guys were homeschooled up until the age of 6. So, I actually want to talk about your childhood. Tell us about your childhood and tell us about your parents.
We are so blessed, John. And there's that quote: if I've seen further, it's because of I've stood on the backs of giants. I think Isaac Newton quoted that. And we really had such a blessed childhood. I was actually homeschooled until I was 13, and my brother was 10. So we really got a lot of personal time and attention from our parents. It was really a blessing. My dad's an immigrant from Lebanon. My mom is a second generation immigrant. Her parents immigrated from Brazil and Hong Kong. And since the young age, we've just been, treat people fairly, treat people very well, work hard, and value truth, value honesty, value taking care of people and making value for people.
Wow, that's awesome. And I love the immigrant origin story, the background, the parents. I think, especially in today's generation with social media and technology, that personal attention is priceless. So I'm glad you guys got it. How would you say that the role of homeschooling impacted your curiosity and what ultimately led you and your brother to study mechanical engineering?
Homeschooling it's good. It forces you to be creative and you spend a little more time alone and just thinking about ideas and reading books and you read a lot of great stories, and I think the stories inspire you to take risks and do things. When you're in school, you're always doing things as a class and it's always necessary. There's a component of trying to fit in and go with the flow, but when you're homeschooled, you're used to being alone. You're used to doing things on your own. And given the fact that we had so many amazing stories and role models growing up, you can understand that it's good to take risks and have adventures and go for things. And you don't you don't get that when you're in a more traditional institution. You're more, I guess, just socially, you're more incentivized to go with the flow and do what everybody else is doing. But I was so lucky to have the exposure of a different way of thinking.
No, that sounds incredible. And you mentioned risk a couple times, and too often risk can be tolerated and not tolerated. I also love the fact that you guys have developed a level of leadership skills, and part of that probably comes, like you mentioned, with being alone and not isolation, because
Yeah,
obviously you're not a lab animal, but developing your own confidence and perspective.
yeah, that it really gives you time to understand who you are individually, and no, it's a priceless experience for anyone. And you don't have to be homeschooled to get that experience. It's a mindset, but
Yeah, I agree. So before we jump into kind of the work and the business and things like that, I actually was also seeing that you spent time living in Spain, spent time living in China, and now I'm hearing your mother was also roots in Hong Kong. Can you tell us about some of those experiences?
yeah, in college, I studied abroad with my brother in China, and that was a eye-opening experience. It was through the Georgia Tech student exchange program, and you saw the efficiency of Chinese manufacturing and the scale they do things at, and how different societies function than the Americans, and how they move as a less individualistic society. So China was a very interesting to see their production there, and the mindset of what makes that country a great country as well, and a really productive country. And then after that was during college, and then after college I had an internship in Spain, which was also a great experience because you get to see the European romanticism and individualism, and
Hmm.
how they think about life, and their work life balance, what they value, and how they work hard, but they also relax hard, and how they're an easygoing culture a little more. And it's just a great blessing to be exposed to different cultures. I think Mark Twain once said that, like, traveling is the anecdote to any kind of biases or preconceived notions you have about people, because you understand everybody better once you do go visit them and spend time with them.
No, that's great perspective. So that makes me think now, listening to that. Is that where you developed the level of hobbies and relaxation? Scuba diving, hiking, and unicycling?
I learned how to unicycle for fun, just because it was a hard thing to do, and I wanted to see if I could do it. So it's very goofy. You flail your arms around while you're riding it, but it's a lot of fun. Scuba diving is they just had a class at my college, so I did it. It was fun. I always have part of the risk taking DNA is you're going to do things that are a little dangerous and not other people are doing, and it gets you used to failure, and then it also gets you used to persisting through and doing things, and travel as well gets you. Right now we talk with Chinese people about doing business with them, about importing machines from China, or
Excellent.
buying steel from China to export to South America. And if you do have these experiences, you don't know, but it really prepares you for the real world, because now you're not afraid to go to the different country, to take the risk, to make the deal.
All right, Tiago. Well, you're getting ahead of us now. Slow down, buddy. Slow
Sorry,
down.
sorry.
No, no, I'm kidding. This is great. This is great. No, thank you for sharing those perspectives. And I really, once again, embracing failure. You mentioned goofy, but I call it humility to be able to not take yourself so serious and be able to try and fail is necessary. Especially, it shows in the leadership of what you guys have been able to accomplish.
Yep.
So I want to move the conversation forward to get towards talking about the work, the seriousness of what you guys do. But I listed out kind of contextually what I view your business as, and then I want to read a quote, and then I want to get some input. Is that okay?
Sure, sure, sure. Yeah.
Awesome. So here are my notes of context of their business: operating industrial real estate space, operating industrial machines and equipment, sourcing raw goods and commodities, manufacturing and distributing finished goods and building materials, oversight or overseeing on engineering and design of said products, and transportation and logistics of products. Did I get that correct?
Yeah, that's we do all that, and sales and marketing and client outreach as well.
Sounds
Yeah, no,
like
it's
you
a lot.
guys love, yeah, complexity and the challenges, etc.
Oh, it's just exciting to see everything come together and figure it all out.
So, kind of backtracking, do you think that the mechanical engineering background, I should ask first and foremost, what does mechanical engineering mean to you?
Ooh, mechanical engineering is very broad. So there's a lot of you work in aerospace, you work in agriculture, you work in HVAC. I don't know. I view college and life in general as it just trains you to do some problem solving. Mechanical engineering is kind of the most broad. It's not like chemical engineering where you're solely focused on gases, expansion, thermodynamic, refineries. So mechanical engineering is the most broad form of engineering you can do, basically, and it just teaches you how to do problem solving, but it relates a lot to the physical world. So motion of things mostly.
Okay, and for just context, because I did not study mechanical engineering, and I was wondering, and I saw both of you study mechanical engineering, seem very interdisciplinary. I even noticed that your brother, some of his hobbies were off road car building in certain clubs. the board of the rings, which I thought, man, for longboarding, that's badass. And then also the head count camera. So I said, man, these guys tinker, they make, they build things. So I researched, I asked my chat GPT, what are mechanical engineers trained to do? And it said mechanical engineers are trained to design, analyze, manufacture, and maintain mechanical systems. Their training encompasses a wide variety of skills, preparing them for solving problems. And then it iterates onto some of the things you've already shared with us. So valid perspective.
Yeah, we solve problems. There's so many problems, 50 problems a day. You got to solve them all. It's fun.
So that's actually a great segue into more information about the work. And I guess we'll lead with what are the pain points that you're solving for your clients?
Hmm. There's a few. Many times it's speed. People need things very fast. They need things. So we'll help them. We'll make material very fast. We'll custom length material. Any size they want. We'll roll form it for them. That's one way we help people. Another way we help people is by advising on them on timing the market. If somebody has some time to wait and they have a big project coming, they're going to wait for it. And we'll say, hey, steel prices are going down, they keep dropping, or hey, the steel prices are about to go back up. So we solve that problem for them. Other people are new to working with steel, so we'll say, hey, here's some engineering. You need a dedicated light gauge steel engineer. They'll do the study for you, and then we'll help you with the takeoff, show you how many quantities, show you which accessories you need, and then we'll ship it all to you. So clients at different stages, whether they're very experienced and they just need material very fast in custom length, whether they're learning how to work with light gauge steel, or whether they're really trying to get the most value for their project and time their project, maybe more of a developer thing to get the best deal on their project and drive down costs.
Okay, I appreciate that insight. And so you run two companies. You run Boxy and you run the US Frame Factory. And on one of your sites I noticed this quote, it's in everything we do. We believe in challenging the status quo. We believe in thinking differently. Boxy. So I think to myself, with the various experiences that you and your brother both have had at various firms, I know you did some large scale solar and renewable work. Your brother had a lot of tangible manufacturing and modular experience. What made you guys actually start your own firm? It's one thing to say, hey, we have an itch, we have an idea, but it's another thing to actually take the risk, move the ball forward, and get serious. What led to that?
Um, there is the construction industry is very interesting. It's an old industry, but it moves very slowly. Like tech changes every 10 years. Tech is totally different, but construction has been the same for like 50, 60 years. And so it's a opportunity to iterate and advance tech, and it's also addressing many core issues of our society of lack of affordable housing. Construction costs are higher here than any parts of the world. So it was an interesting. I mean, I could do renewable energy. I could do aerospace. My brother was he had some aerospace internships, but I think we both ended up in construction as an interesting challenge where there was a lot of opportunity and there was not enough entrepreneurs or movers and shakers. So it was a good climate to get in, and construction is the coolest, it's the most accessible industry to get into because you can have a construction company if you have like a truck and a toolbox.
Literally.
So yeah, and you can grow that company to $1 million of revenue. So it's very there's a lot of points you can get in, and there's a lot of mobility upwards. It would be super hard to start a car factory or engine factory, but construction is something where you can get in at the bottom and work your way up.
Well, we
So that's
don't
a
want to minimize. You guys basically started a steel manufacturing business. I mean, I know it sounds so simple, but to scale up to 4 production lines. You've sent product to 25 states. Is it easy for you, or is it just the confidence now?
Oh, it's never easy. It's more of just a lot of failure and learning from the failure and learning with the market. We it took really like 2 years for us to figure out how to sell to people and what the market was, and so it took a lot of trial and error to get where we are. And but once you figure it out, you can scale pretty fast. So we started with one manufacturing machine, one roll former, and it was a multi-profile roll former. So we figured we could supply people who are building, and then we expanded to different gauges and doing drywall studs and Z purlins and all sorts of other stuff related. And we just learned how to sell people the whole package, or like I was talking earlier, put the clients into different buckets and know how to sell to whichever person they want and whatever. Learn how to provide value to people. So that it took a while, but once you figure out how to provide value to people, construction, there's a lot of big jobs always going on. So once you get there, if you're stubborn enough not to quit, you'll figure it out.
Oh, some of those honed in principles that you guys are anchored with. It sounds like a talking cliche, but to actually implement and live it is a great reflection. So you said a few things about the industry, and I'm interested in seeing both the challenges and the opportunities of where you see the industry going. And I want to caveat that where do you view yourself as in the steel industry? Do you view yourself as in the modular industry? Do you view yourself as in the construction industry? Can you speak to that?
Um, so we started Boxy Construction, and we did do a modular project, and we have done quite a few modular, maybe 4 or 5 small modular projects. Um, but then we really focus on steel currently, and we'll still do modular projects if people request us to. But I see it as the manufacturing. So we want to be manufacturers, whether it's manufacturing steel or manufacturing modular houses. I'd say we're mostly focused on steel right now because it's a faster sales cycle and it's easier to scale. But we hope to use that to help modular, because once you figure out steel and you're moving a lot of steel through and you're seeing a lot of projects, looking at multifamily projects, commercial projects, you actually understand construction as a whole better: commercial, multifamily, single family, and you're scaling it. So you're moving a lot of volume through there. So you're building a solid foundation to start a very effective modular factory by making a lot of steel actually. So I feel like steel manufacturing is a journey towards modular manufacturing at a large scale.
Excellent. And I think another industry jargon for that is known as industrialized construction. So you're leveraging the manufacturing business to industrialize construction at a commercial scale. Listening to you, it made me think of the manufacturing industry as a whole, but then also the fact that you guys have basically reshored American manufacturing, and especially in Louisiana, where you guys are located. So earlier you mentioned things like China and South America. How do you feel about the potential, well, the current implications of tariffs on China products and relates to steel, et cetera, but also how the geopolitical atmosphere will impact your business?
Hmm. Yeah, certainly if they raise prices, um, if they raise the tariffs again, then that's going to bring up the cost for everybody here in the United States. Um, I'm not super tied in with steel mills, but they do have a lot of capacity in the United States, and they could produce a lot more, but they try to maintain high margins,
Of
is from what
course.
I've heard. And when they could be a lot cheaper, but they don't need to be a lot cheaper if they have these tariffs, so they can be 25% above the rest of the world all the time instead of being at the price with the rest of the world. And that was made to protect American manufacturing. So
Do you
the
believe that?
tariffs,
Oh, please.
the tariffs will increase the prices for everybody. But
So you're in a unique perspective because on one end, those tariffs were created to protect the manufacturers, specifically the steel mills. However, now as a new manufacturer, as a startup, as an entrepreneur, the protectionist policies of, hey, you could be more competitive with the importing and exporting versus US steel only. What are your thoughts there?
right now, we do some exporting to the Caribbean and a little bit to South America. And if they raise the prices of steel more in America, it will be more difficult. People will go to Panama, Colombia to get their steel and their metal studs. So it's it's already very hard. Steel is already the most expensive in America, so it's already very hard to export from America. So it will be it won't be too good for us, but we
No,
just adapt.
yeah, no, I understand. And this is part of the commodity pricing and timing the market and all that intellect that you hold is critical. So that leads me more so into the future of where the market's going. So you actually mentioned the Caribbean and things like that of exporting steel kits. I'm actually of Haitian background and descent, and I saw a post you guys did, and I was like, oh my God, this is incredible. See, here's my excitement. But essentially, you guys are exporting kits to developing nations, places where they need resilient housing and building systems. How did you get into that journey?
Yeah, we've done some exports to the Caribbean and Guyana and South America. People just call us and we just try to solve their problems. So people from the Caribbean called us, they found us online, and we'll figure out a way to get there and ship it to them and load a container for them. So they want they like working with American companies because of the business practices in America, being honest, reliable, getting stuff done. So we try to we try to be a company that does that and get a reputation. So even if we're more expensive than our foreign competitors, people will still use us. And
Excellent.
yeah, no, it's great to help those people.
Yeah, and each one of those experiences provides more capacity. I know in a video I saw you saying the excitement of fitting everything into various container sizes.
Yeah,
So
it's fun.
seeing those panels and how to logistically flat pack and stack and get them on board, it's a challenge in itself.
Yep. It's challenging, but it's exciting. You're able to help somebody in a different countries, so it's a great opportunity.
Awesome. So in terms of excitement, I know we're in the age of AI, robotics, things like that. You have a fairly primitive operation in a sense. What are your thoughts on robotics and things like that integrating into the factory and integrating into panelization?
Um, yeah, I think there's a few companies who use them. Um, there are the best way to start doing things is just to do them. So whatever way you can get it done, it's the most important to focus on. We don't have Funic robotic arms building panels or self stacking machines for studs, but the more complicated robotics you get, the higher skill labor you need to actually operate them. We do have some panel lines that are somewhat automated. They like help people build panels faster. Those are cool, but then again, it's complex. It's a lot of things you have to set up and coordinate. So it does make your operation a little. It makes things complicated when really, if you get a good crew of builders, you can build panels very fast, or a good machine operator, you can figure out how to stack material fast when it's coming out of the machine. So more technology isn't always better. And I mean, I read an article recently how Toyota made their plants more effective in some cases by removing robots and putting humans back in. So it's you can spend time doing a lot of things, and we hope to put more robots, more automation in there sometime. But right now, it's not a priority for us.
No, that's an incredible perspective, and I think it's grounded and focused. Robotics also adds the level of cost, complexity, etc. And I think it ties back into something I thought about your firm or saw in terms of the work culture, your machinist, and the pride that your workforce takes in what you're doing. So I'd love you to talk a little bit about how you've been developing your work culture and how you've been attracting and training your various technicians, machinists, etc.
Yeah, we just hire people purely based on their culture and their work ethic. We don't really look for people with any experience because there's not too much experience role forming out there, to be honest. Metal studs, not a lot of people do it. So you just hire people and let them make mistakes and try to teach them. And sometimes we learn from them as well, and just get people who are optimistic and understand you can figure out problems and solve problems. And it's, yeah, if you just get that and get good people and treat them well, it's a credible experience.
No, that's a great perspective. And I guess just for some closing final thoughts, do you guys find yourselves to be the younger on the spectrum of being in the industry? And if so, what are you doing, or how do you approach capacity building and getting better knowledge?
Ooh, yeah, we are younger for the industry, and to get knowledge, I just read stuff online, watch YouTube videos, talk to people, listen to other people. Just always have an open mind, and be improve your strategy by seeing what works for other people, and just have an open mindset. And doesn't matter what age you are, you just soldier along.
Awesome. Well, Tiago, I must say, I believe you guys are going to be the future industrialist leaders of the
Oh,
industry.
thank you.
I think you guys are off to a great start and amazing progress. I thank you for taking time to talk to us, our viewers, and our listeners. We're really happy to have you. Any closing thoughts you want to share with the audience?
Um, I'm I'm very thankful to be on here and to have the opportunity to talk to people, and I hope people um, are doing great as well, and understand that there's a lot of challenges in life, but you just soldier through them and you figure out solutions, and a lot of things are overcomable, and believe in yourself.
I think you've shared some great messages, some great perspectives, and some awesome values here. Thank you, and we're happy to have you today.
Thank you so much, John.